With this story, 4 police officers accused of killing a man during last year's student demonstrations in Braamfontein, Mthokozisi Ntumba, were found not guilty and their charges have been dropped. Now, the High Court in Johannesburg says there is no evidence to convict them. The 35-year-old had just left a clinic in the area when 4 police officers allegedly shot him down. The police were deployed to defuse the student protests in the area.
In these proceedings, there is no direct evidence in the form of eyewitness or witnesses. I mean to say that there is no person to say he or she saw the accused persons or any of them committing the offenses in question. The state's case is premised from circumstantial evidence, being the video footage in the main. In an application in terms of Section 174 of Act 51 of 1977, a discharge is to be refused where there is more than one inference to be drawn in terms of circumstantial evidence. In State versus Faku and others, it's a 2004, Volume 3, All South African Law Reports, page 501 at 504I to J. It was stated that the words "no evidence" have on numerous occasions been interpreted to mean no evidence, upon which a reasonable man acting carefully may convict. Circumstantial evidence consists of facts from which a fact in dispute may be inferred. It has been held that where the uncontradicted evidence of the state is circumstantial and more than one inference may be drawn, a discharge should be refused.
Right, let's get more information now on this story, and we'll cross to our reporter Linda Mnisi, who has been in court. Linda, the visuals you are beaming to us of legal teams, you'll explain to us who these legal teams are for, but I suppose the most important question is that of the judge, saying that it is the lack of witnesses coming forward to say that these officers were indeed the ones responsible, and so the lack of any witness coming forward, is that basically the sum total of why these officers were let go?
Yes, indeed, Oli. In fact, one of the things that was said by the judge was the fact that there wasn't, in fact, any evidence that's linking the accused to this particular matter. As you can see, their legal representatives leaving the court shortly after that particular judgment. Celebrations we saw earlier today from the suspects themselves, the accused persons who were in this particular murder case in the dock, celebrating that they're finally free to go. We had an opportunity to interact with them earlier on, and what they were basically saying, Koli, was how grateful they are to finally be let go. One of them, in fact, accused number 4, telling us that, finally justice has prevailed. He does not have much to say about, what has happened, but he did, in fact, mention that finally justice has prevailed. We spoke to some of the legal representatives who you saw earlier on taking pictures right here in the foyer of the South Gauteng High Court, saying that at last, justice has been served. There is no winner, there is no loser. But also we had an opportunity to speak to Ayanda Ntumba, who is the brother of Mthokozisi Ntumba, telling us also that as a family, they knew that, in fact, this is how the case would go. In fact, I want to show you exactly where he was told about the news that this case has, in fact, been thrown out by the court. It seemed he arrived late, and we were trying to get reaction as members of the media from him. If you look at that plant, that's exactly where we were standing with him, reacting to the news, because he wasn't in court when that important judgment was delivered, saying that as a family they knew from how this case was handled earlier on, they knew that it would go this way. They're quite disappointed. You can see it's vividly clear in his face that he's quite disappointed with this particular outcome. We also saw some of the people who are accompanying the accused in this particular matter also saying that they're quite relieved that it has gotten to this particular point. But of course, more and more of them continue to come out of the court just shortly after that judgment. Just to wrap up what the judge has also managed to say, saying that there was no evidence really that could possibly link the accused to this matter. The state's case depended on prima facie evidence in the form of a video. Even some of the people that testified, were not able to place the accused at the scene. The doctor who also was at the scene could not also place the accused at the scene. In fact, it seems as though even the identity of the accused persons was not determined, because from the judgment that was handed down, there are about 21 police officers who were deployed on that day. And when you look at the ballistic evidence, it says that even with the firearms that were confiscated to be investigated and possibly link the accused persons to this matter, none of them actually came out positive, which then begged the question for the judge of why only these 4 accused were brought before the court and not and why in fact they were the only ones that were brought before the court, when in fact there were 21 police officers who were stationed in Braamfontein on that particular day. Their firearms could also be brought in to be tested, but that of course was not done, seeing that these are the only people that were brought before the court. But there is no evidence, not even in the video footage, can any of the witnesses that have testified identify the suspects in it, because in one of the videos the judge saying that it's not even clear if those accused persons are the ones that are seen alighting from the police nyala. In fact, there were even the people that were alighting from that police nyala were even wearing masks, which made it difficult for the accused persons to be identified. Nobody in the list of witnesses that came before this court identified them and placed them at the scene, not even the ballistic evidence that has been brought. He says all the exhibits that were before the court exclude them from this case.
Yeah, well, Linda, you've said that the lawyers representing the 4 police officers who have now been freed, their words were there are no winners, there are no losers. But for Mthokozisi Ntumba's family, this is a travesty of justice. Any indications from their side about whether they're going to challenge this legal outcome?
I mean, from our interaction that we had with them earlier on, it was quite clear that they did not have, or the brother did not have sufficient information to be able to comment on those issues. The only thing that he pointed to us was that, they knew that this case would go like this. They knew that it would take this particular direction. So it's disappointing but not surprising to them, seeing how this particular matter was handled.
Linda Mnisi, thank you very much for that report. That's Linda Mnisi giving us an update from inside the South Gauteng High Court.